Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have the entire crew here with us today. We have an outstanding three-topic show for you. We're talking Assassin's Creed. I know that Infinite Umbra, this is definitely a game for him. He's loving it. I'm loving it. Jamie, we'll find out your thoughts and your theories about it. We also have South of Midnight, folks, releasing in 2 weeks. It's gone gold. Time to get excited. Another big Xbox exclusive launching into Game Pass day and date. Of course, there is a $10 upgrade for you to play a couple of days early, I believe, and get a few extra of the downloadable content that's added to it. And of course, the raging topic that seems to be on everyone's mind is, of course, a topic that was actually started by Jez Corden of Windows Central, who posted where he believed that if Sony really wanted to, they could, in fact, block a game purchased by a person on Steam to be played on an Xbox whatever. Would that be the next gen console? That be the Xbox handheld, a partner handheld? And again, look, I love Jez. I think Jez is a fine journalist in his own rights. Probably one of the best in the business. There's no doubt about it. So I don't have any beef with Jez, but unfortunately, I think he's wrong. And I wasn't the only one. There were several people in our circle that we follow, the Tom Warrens of the world. There was John from Xbox Era, Jesse from Xbox Era. And again, we're all talking like men. We don't. No one's finger pointing. No one's trying to shame post anybody. We all are entitled to our opinions, as Jez is. And I still think that I think the way that he phrased it was not correct. We'll get into why that is. And of course, that's going to be the big topic of the show, ladies and gentlemen, because again, it is an interesting theory. Now, Demo Flow Gaming, who works with C Money and the Misses on a regular basis, put out a post I thought was very, very interesting. And I think it's very warranted. Now, I don't have that post in front of me, so I'm going to try and repeat it from memory. So, of course, I'm air quoting here. He actually put down what he wrote on Twitter, and I responded to him, and I'll find it when the guys start talking regarding Steam. And he said that the 2 or 3 PlayStation games that would be released per year, if they got that many onto Steam, would not be the purpose of Xbox teaming up with Steam. It would be for the 18,000 plus games that are in that library per year. And if you think that number is false, folks, just go ahead and do a Google search. Steam had 19,000 new games last year. So the purpose of Xbox teaming up with Steam is, in fact, for the Steam connection. And the bonus is being able to play something like, let's say, Ghosts of Yotai. Let's say, for instance, you don't have a PlayStation. And that is one of their first day-to-day games, which I believe it is, to be quite honest with you. And this new handheld, this new Asus X Xbox handheld comes out, and this game is available day and date on Steam. If you don't have a PlayStation 5 and you want to play this game, then you buy it from Steam and you play it on this ROG Ally X Xbox machine. And you can, in fact, do that. Now, because it's going to have Xbox integration, does that mean that Sony's going to block you from actually playing this game on what is a partnered device? I don't know so much about that. We will get into it. But before we do, I've got to welcome in the panel here. And, of course, Jamie Moran, good morning, kind sir. How are you feeling?
Hey, man, happy to be here. It's been a good day and it's been a good week for gaming news. It's going to be interesting going forward when it comes to all the Xbox talk, because it's funny how, like, you go back 2 months ago and everyone was talking doom and gloom, and now people are just talking about games and hardware, which is the preferred way to go, in my opinion.
I absolutely agree. Again, here at Double Barrel Gaming, folks, we don't do the doom and gloom thing. We give smoke where it's necessary. We talk about the topics that a lot of people pass on because they're either too big to talk about for some people or too small. Nothing's off the table. And obviously, you got to get creative when you do produce 5 shows per week, as we do here. But I think that all the conversations we are having are warranted, and of course, very interesting. And of course, I cannot thank the chat for being here. We have almost 200 people here, only a couple of minutes in. Infinite Number, how are you feeling now? Please, can you just paint the picture for me? I heard from Sith Lord, one of the best in the business when it comes to being a community member, that on the first day of spring, you guys had a foot of snow. Is this true?
Yeah, we had a little bit. I mean, depends on where you're at in Chicago, though. All right,
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I'm not going to front. Mrs. Moon and I, we love snow, and we didn't get enough this year. And welcome, sir.
Yeah, it was a little bit. Like, it wasn't like where I'm at in Chicago on the like west side, so it wasn't that bad over here where I'm at. But in certain areas, I think up north and such, it was probably a bit snowier, if that's
Seth said he got a foot of snow, man.
Yeah, nothing too crazy though. It's melted away now. It's all gone.
Yeah, of course.
But I had a decent weekend this week, man. Outside of playing, getting like 40 plus hours in already of Assassin's Creed Shadow.
Damn, 40 hours. Wow, you've put me to shame. I think I'm closing in on 17 or 18. I am I am finding it very hard to do regular missions, because whenever I see like a castle in the distance, I'm like, I gotta go there because I'm gonna find some good gear. And I have found some really, really cool gear.
Same. Also, too, is just the splendor of the world. Like I wrote about
gorgeous.
it. Yeah, man. I'll be riding around. I'm just like, look at that. And I just get off the horse or whatever, and I'm just taking it all in as far as the views and everything. I would have said pause, but I made sure to add that little part at the end. And it's gorgeous. Like, the world is gorgeous, and I've seen images and videos of people playing it on Xbox, and it looks great on Xbox and such as well on console. And it's not just the visuals, right, which is outstanding. It is the sound quality. It's the to hear the wind rustling around through the leaves and everything like that as you're riding through on a horse, or you go near a body of water and such. It's really, really well done. Honest to God, I don't think Unreal could do this. And I'm not even trying to be funny, to make such an open world that's this beautiful with this.
And it's at every turn. You know what? Let's just stop there, because we're wasting good conversation.
One last thing I would add. One last thing for the weekend. I did get a chance to meet That Blue Number and
that is so freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah, I met Colt and That Blue Number, and of course his wife. Lovely people, all nice. And we did karaoke, man. We sang our hearts out. It was fun.
I know that is cool. I know I saw that some pictures with Colton and Randolph, which is pretty cool. I will say that is one of the greatest things that I look forward to when we plan these events. Like, of course, I'm going to be out there again this June, and I'm going to be covering everything boots on the ground, ass in seat for all of the shows.
Yeah.
I'm going to be, of course, and again, it's exciting to be there. I'm trying to get into play days. I don't know if I'm going to get in. I think I'm a little bit too late to the party, which is fine. Again, for me, I don't like playing like games too early. I just like anticipating them. I know it sounds kind of weird. I don't mind having to wait to play something. I don't mind watching video like, oh, that looks awesome, I can't wait, rather than hands-on, because hands-on requires you to have to report on it, and we don't really do reporting here. We do more podcasting and live content. But we're going to be there, and I say we. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to be there. I'd love for Mrs. Boom to go, but yeah, she's not about that life, that video game life. She is in a small way, and she handles all the big business behind the scenes, and like a lot of the the stuff that goes on that the viewers don't see or hear about. And she's okay with that. She loves being behind the scenes rather than in front of the camera, which is she calls me like a ham. I don't mind being in front of the camera, but that's really cool. That's that's the fun of it, is meeting people that you've podcast with for years and actually meeting them in real life. That's the fun. I'm happy for you, brother. That's cool.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was muted. That's the real cool thing about it, getting a chance to meet people you've been listening to for a while, or talked with and communicated with, and things like that. So yeah, I hope to meet more of you guys like that, yourself as well.
Yes, that would be awesome, dude.
Yeah, that'd be really
dope. that would be definitely dope. But you know what? Let's get right into Assassin's Creed. Look, here's the thing. As you can see by the title, Assassin's Creed Shadow breaks records, right? And it has. It's one of the most successful games on Steam. It's doing really well on consoles, and that's of course multiple platforms, not just PlayStation or Xbox. It's doing very well. There were already 2 million players from, I think, the first weekend, which is great. And as you can see in the back end of it, and defies false narratives, because leading up to this, Umbra, all we kept hearing was DEI, that somehow that invoked that kind of ideology and it ruined the game before people even touched it. And I never fall for the virtual banana in the tailpipe. I go based on my personal opinion. Someone can be like, hey, Boom, I think you're going to like this game, and I'll give it a try. Or I don't think you're going to like this game, and I still will give it a try because, well, ultimately my opinion matters the most. This is a game, Umbra, that I think every Assassin's Creed fan have been waiting for over a decade. If you are a fan of the series, if you've been following it as long as many of us have, this is the one overlay, the one region that goes like peanut butter and jelly perfect together. Samurai, ninja, shinobi, the backdrop of ancient Japan. And, when you play this game, first of all, it's very big. It's a very wide open game. And you can just get lost, like you were saying, in the scenery. Every turn is crafted in a way, and folks, I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's what. I bought the game. I didn't buy the game. I got it through Ubisoft Plus, but I did spend money on the game. Like I said, you saw I bought the Ghost Horse and the armor. I'm probably good for about $60 or $70 in DLC for their games. I don't mind that at all. But I happily pay my $20 a month for Ubisoft Plus, and that's for me why I can justify. Hey, if I drop $60, it's like I bought the game, and it's fine. But I already spent, I think it was $35 on the credits that you can use to buy stuff, and I bought a bunch of like cosmetics. I'm
a cosmetic thought too. I get it, Bo. You don't. I feel you. Although I bought the deluxe edition.
Oh, okay, very nice. Okay.
So I have that like dragon mount you could ride around on, as well as like
that's the thing with Ubisoft Plus. I got that as well. See, with Ubisoft Plus, you get the. See, I was good for what used to be the $120 gold edition, right? They've always had multiple editions. And for almost every Ubisoft game, because I love Ubisoft as a developer, I know they don't do the greatest when it comes to their employees, but their games are just amazing. Whether it be Far Cry, whether it be, I was going to say Splinter Cell, but we haven't seen Sam Fisher in 2 decades, so it's fine.
It's been a minute.
But you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of them, including Assassin's Creed. Mm-hmm. But what I want to focus on here, Umbra, is something more specific to what you said, is about going around the world, and in just about every instance, and I agree with you, I don't necessarily know if Unreal Engine 5, as powerful as it is, could have pulled off what I believe to be literal virtual artwork at every turn. Whether you're running around through bamboo or the trees, or you stumble upon a village that has been looted by bandits, or you see a castle in the distance that you could run to, that you're going to go around and loot and get new gear. The game is absolutely stunning. I've had no bugs, thank goodness, whatsoever. I've had no issues with saves. I save all the freaking time. Some of the things that they did differently is that even when you're in one of these encampments, before you used to have to step out to save. They've changed that. Now you could literally save anywhere. So if you
fortunate.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
they got me a few times.
They've got me because
I saved.
So let's talk about your experience for Assassin's Creed Shadow. Again, for me, it's been stellar to the point where, and this is how no game gets me. I go to sleep and I'm dreaming about the game. I will get up and I'll look at the clock and I'm like, my God, I got to get up in 4 hours, but I think I could spare 45. and I'll get up and I'll play for an hour.
Yeah.
And that's how I know the game has gotten me.
For sure.
This game has got me. Let's get your thoughts, man.
For sure. What's funny is I got off this morning. You know, I'm usually probably tired by this point. So I put the game on and played a bit before the show. I'm like, I need to give me a little assassinations on real quick. You know, put the game on and got about an hour in, you know. And you're right. It's definitely one of those games where you kind of get slightly addicted to it once you get engrossed into their world. Just like you said, man, it's a stunning world, man. I turn it on. Like I said, I'm riding around and I'm just like, yo, these devs at Ubisoft Quebec, they deserve, or should I say, is it Quebec or Quebec? I don't know if I'm gonna say it wrong.
I think either way would be acceptable.
Somebody would be like, the Q is more silent than that or something. I don't know. But man, they deserve a hand of applause, just being honest. And Jamie, did you get a chance to get any time in on this too?
No.
We haven't gotten to him yet.
Okay.
Because we literally went right into the way that you were talking. We'll get Jamie on the back end.
Just wanted to know, because I didn't want to over talk if you did, and you can get take away points from you. But my thing is, it's a lot of praise I can put onto this, so I'm going to try to sum it up as nicely as I can. You mentioned the fact of riding around, and just like I said, we both agree. You ride around, man, and you see this world, and I would put this world next to, and this is a tough one to say because that world is so well done, I would put it next to RDR2 in terms of detail.
Wow.
That's
high praise, brother.
This is one of the highest praise I can possibly give, because to me, RDR2 is a masterpiece, and there's very few games that out detail it when it comes down to it. This is really close in my honest opinion, and probably outdoes it in some different ways. Maybe like population and stuff like that when you get inside certain cities and stuff. I don't know if I want to really say all that, but RDR2 had crazy detail, like the horses, man parts drawn up when it's cold outside. That's how crazy the detail is in RDR2. So I won't put it all the way on that level, but I just have to say, when you look at the love poured into this, as far as the general detail of an Azuchi Momoyama period Japan, an area of Japan, should I say, back in that whatever century was it, 1700s, whatever. Maybe further back than that. Actually, I needed to look into that. But you have to understand that these, like, people often argue, oh, these devs are lazy. I don't believe that. If you play this game and you come away with that thought, I don't know what to say to you. And that's why, like, I was watching Destin the other day on his show, and he was like, it just sounded so negative the way he was talking about it. And you know how people can say something, but you can lead with negativity on how you speak, and it doesn't sound like you're saying what you agree with your statement. So, like, if I say, yeah, the game is a 7, it's not a bad score, it's a good game. I didn't like this, I didn't like that, and this could have been, this also I thought was useless. It doesn't sound like a 7 when you start describing it. You know what I mean? And that's what he was doing. And I was like, listen, and this is no shade to him, but I think that people in the media have such a I feel like a lot of them are jaded. I'll just be as honest as I can.
I just wonder you know what's interesting. I don't want to get off the subject, but you said something that's very interesting, and I don't know if it's jaded or because they have so much access that they have lost the excitement of seeing something new. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, for me, I don't know. The way I look at gaming, man, I just need to enjoy that world. I want to feel engrossed. Are the characters well done? Is the voice acting well done? Is the combat fun? All of these things AC Shadows has. Voice acting is great in English. Voice acting is superb in Japanese and Portuguese. The combat is fun and engaging, especially when you mix up and match up the different styles, from using the kusanagari that she used and the tanto or the katana I haven't got to Sasuke yet. That's the craziest part. So
Me either. Dude, you know
I'm
what's
still doing
crazy?
all this. I
I
ain't
have
even got to
not gotten to him yet outside
It's
of the
insane,
initial
right?
starting with, which is
Exactly.
crazy.
It's so much to do in this world, y'all. I'm not even being funny. This map, and y'all, you all know, I haven't played. Let me just say this too. It's a bit of a disclaimer. I haven't played in the mainline Creed game since Unity. That's where I stopped, and I didn't even get through Unity all the way. Because Unity, I was like, okay, this is a little daunting, right? This map is way bigger than Unity. And like I heard people talking about Odyssey and stuff. Now I see what they mean, because this map is gigantic.
I have nearly 40. I have nearly 20 days in Odyssey, bro.
Sheesh. I remember you telling me about that, and you had, I think you were like 200 hours in, and you couldn't finish getting everything at the point.
Just love it, man.
Yeah.
Origins and this are, again, this is honestly become one of my favorite in the series, and I think that might be me, like a me thing, because I have such an affection and appreciation for Japanese culture and Japan, and I love it, man. It's so, and you know what, the brutality in this game,
oh man,
bonkers, bro.
Yeah, they give you a lot of accessibility too. So you got a lot of ways you can approach it, like instant assassinations, which probably should have been on to start. But it's that RPG-esque thing they've been moving to. But you can turn it on, and you can actually build your skills to allow you to take out stronger enemies with one, jab of the old trusty assassin blade, if you will. And so, like, it leaves a lot of different ways to play styles on how you want to approach it. The kunai, the shuriken, things like that. You can take people out with a nicely thrown kunai or whatever. And so, like, it's all types of ways you can do it. Double assassinations are gorgeous. I jumped down. I'd be feeling like a badass taking two people out. Actually, I got on this, I forgot what they call it, the tool fit, whatever that she wears, or shinobi tool fit, whatever. So I jumped down, and it's like three people. I'll double assassinate them, and because of the perk on that outfit, she'll throw a kunai right at somebody's head to kill them too.
Wow. So I just unlocked a double assassination. I did not find, now it's an outfit that you
you can find it in I think it's Kanato Castle. I forgot the name of it. It starts with a K. I think it's Kanato. But yeah, you can find it. That's one of the first things. I was just roaming all around. This is what I say about this too. Like you said, you roam around. You're like, oh, it's a castle. Let me go do that. That's what I did, and I just end up getting that by taking it the daimyo out, the samurai daimyo in the castle area, and open the chest, and I actually got it. Didn't realize that perk came with it until later. I'm like, why am I? I'm a badass. I'm throwing kunai at people after I take somebody out. I didn't know. And until I looked at a video, they like, make sure you get these things, 10 things you didn't know about. I'm like, let me check that out. And I was like, oh, okay.
I actually have that video queued, by the way.
Yeah. So I learned a few things. But I don't want to keep going. I'm droning on, but I'm like, when I really love something and I'm really enjoying something, this is how I sound. And so I don't say these things because people got the raw thing, because a lot of people will kind of get the view like, oh, you're just kind of saying this because whatever. No, I say this because I love gaming. And that's why I feel. And that's why I was saying during Destin's to track back to that. And it's not to throw shade at Destin, but I think that a lot of times people lead with the discussion of gaming wrong. And to me, this is an outlet for us. This is an escape.
Yep.
There should not be such negativity around what you're talking about, in my opinion, unless the game is trash. And this game is not trash. He's like, oh, it's a 7. And he's like, that's not a bad score, but the connotation around a 7 nowadays. Yeah. We all know it. And in that, throwing a 7 out there and then speaking a bunch of negativity after you named the score does not sound like a 7. It sounds like you're giving it a 6 or a 5. You know what I mean? And so that's the only thing I was saying. I said, listen, don't anybody listen to anything else. Just like you talked about before. Somebody could tell you whatever. You're going to go find out yourself.
Yep.
I say that to everybody listening too. If you're on the fence, deal the Ubisoft Plus and pay $17 for a month and play the whole game. And do it that way if you want. Or if you're playing and you say, like, I like this, I'm going to buy the whole thing. Do that, whatever. Try it out yourself. Don't take anybody else's word, even mine. Try it yourself and then see. That's what I would highly suggest. Again, I have been roaming around doing all these things. I haven't even really been doing missions the way I need to, because I'm roaming around. You know how we play these types of games. So this game is This game is a trap for me because not only does it have the fog of war,
it's definitely an Umbra and Boom type of
oh
game.
yeah, I'm going all around the map. I got so much to do, and it got the fog of war too. Oh, I'm in trouble. So I'm going to be on this game. I can see at least 200 plus.
I'm not going to front. I bought the map with my credit. I buy old maps.
It's a map you can buy for it.
It's I think it's like 400 of the Ubisoft credit things, and it just shows everything, brother. There is no fog.
I might have to do that.
Yeah, you know what, folks? I know that I'm probably responsible for the microtransaction isms of the world, because when the horse armor first came out, I gladly dropped down like $5, and I didn't think twice. And when it comes to Ubisoft stuff, they get my money. I'm good for at least 2 purchases. Odyssey was perfect example of that, because there was a film from back in the days that they remade it. It wasn't as good. Clash of the Titans, right? I'm a big fan of it for a multitude of reasons, and more specifically, the Pegasus was an awesome part of that film, and they had that for Odyssey, and you could it couldn't fly like the actual Pegasus could, but what it could do is you could jump off a cliff that's like 1,000 feet down, and it would just float down, and it wouldn't kill the horse. So that's why I bought that, and I was like, yeah, I like the armor set. So when I saw this, they have like it's like a ghost horse, and you had like this ghost armor, which now I have to level up. She has like glowing red eyes. She looks like a female Skeletor is what she looks like, and that looks, dude, I'm sorry, dope.
He-Man. Look at the chat, boy.
Like that. That's a really good. That's a really good one.
Look at this chat. They say, "How dare you, Boom?
I know.
Listen, part of the problem.
I am definitely a part. Listen, folks. I know I have a problem. Hi, my name is Boom. I'm sitting around talking with everybody. It's not a problem.
I too am an aesthetic and microtransaction thought. Yes, I'm sorry.
So, like I said, didn't it all start with the horse armor? In fact, it did. Indeed, it did. So the horse armor for $5 was definitely a problem.
So people were talking about the 2 million playing and all that. That doesn't mean necessarily sales, but they're counting sales and Ubisoft Plus, so they're getting money regardless. So it's not like
listen. At the end of the day, it is doing good. It's doing really good Steam numbers, like really good concurrent players. I think it's only behind Valhalla, which, by the way, I hated.
I heard mixed things with Valhalla.
I hated Valhalla. I really did. I put 30 hours into it. I absolutely loathed it. It was always always a chore. I hated the raiding parties. I hated the building. It just felt like such a slog of chores to do, where this doesn't. Now there is some building, but you build and it's quick. You can, but we'll get into that. I want people to experience. I'll say this. Right now, and thanks to Will, the insider, Broke Boy Lewis, he had put this in the chat, I think, yesterday. I think it might have been Will, or might have even been Friday, where Ubisoft Plus for new subscribers had a deal for 12 months. It was $107. That is phenomenal if you consider I pay $20 after tax. So just do the math, and you can actually get Ubisoft Plus the whole entire year. Now, again, I say this to say, and I want to bring Jamie in and get his hot take on this, is that if you buy 2 Ubisoft games a year, here you go. Because when you have Ubisoft Plus, and remember, folks, I don't get a dime for this. Ubisoft ain't paying me. So I'm just saying this as a smart consumer. If you buy 2 Ubisoft games a year, whatever those games are, if you buy 2 of them, you get the highest gold edition with Ubisoft Plus. Any expansion, any DLC, it's all included. And if someone that maybe skipped out on some of the older Assassin's Creed, they're all in there. All the Far Cries are in there. All of the Splinter Cells from yesteryear are there. To me, it's worth it. $107, I guarantee you, is so worth the price of admission. Because again, if you're buying the deluxe edition of this game, it comes to just under $100. So you're getting this whole game plus everything else. To me, it's worth it. But Jamie Moran, I want to get your thoughts. Have you had an opportunity, because I know that you play a lot of games and you hate starting new games when you, of course, have a backlog that's as tall as you are. Have you played Assassin's Creed Shadow as of yet?
I haven't just yet. But here's the
Okay.
thing. I people know that I talk about Mass Effect all the time because I'm kind of obsessed. But like when it
Maybe
comes
just
to
a little bit.
a little bit. But like I honestly, am not even kidding. I absolutely adore the Assassin's Creed franchise. Like I've played every single entry, not just the main entries. I've played all of them. I have Assassin's Creed Bloodlines on the PSP. That game is terrible. Right? I had the ones on iOS. So like I love Assassin's Creed. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It was so boring. I wanted to find the nearest train track and just walk in front of it. Because like I put 90 hours into Valhalla and didn't make a dent in the story.
Yep.
And I was
Terrible.
like, this
Terrible.
game, and I was so happy to have like a game like this set in England, and they messed it up. Absolutely boring. But I've got too many games going at the minute, so like I'm probably going to get it next week. But like I'm looking forward to it. And like as Umber was saying, the whole 7 out of 10 thing, I kind of hate that mentality of how, like, we have 10, which is a masterpiece. We have 9s, which are great. 8s are great, kind of, and, good. And then 7's trash. Everyone uses 7 as a trash, right? Everyone. And I hate that, right? A 7 to me is like, yeah, that's still really good. If a game is like a low 6 or like a 5, that's when I'd be like, okay, what's the details? But like a 7 to me.
What's wrong with it that you gave it a 5? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And like I've played every Assassin's Creed, and like this game looks fantastic. I mean, the biggest thing for me for Assassin's Creed is stealth, and the stealth mechanics really haven't changed over the past 7 years. And when you play as Nauri, from what I've seen, you have all these different stealth moves, right? Things I've been asking to be in the franchise for ages. I mean, hell, like being able to like jump up to a ceiling. That's a really cool mechanic, and I can't wait to play that. But like the game looks fantastic, and Assassin's Creed has needed this sort of evolutionary jump when it comes to visuals for a long time, because Odyssey is gorgeous. Valhalla, while mind-numbingly boring, is a gorgeous game.
Yes, beautiful.
But like this is the first next gen, doing air quotes, next gen only Assassin's Creed game, and it clearly shows like interactive world. You can chop like plants in half or whatever. Like it's a really, really gorgeous looking world, and I think that if people aren't really in the know and play all the Assassin's Creed games, the truth is, for a long time, there's been this weird controversy for basically every Assassin's Creed game on some sort of level. Mirage, which I think has phenomenal gameplay. Honestly, if people have never played Mirage, if you have Ubisoft Plus, I can get it on a sale. Mirage is incredible for the gameplay alone. Story is short, but the gameplay is great. And like Odyssey had its controversy because the map was too big. That game's map is considered as a continent. And that, like, I loved Odyssey. I think I put maybe 12 days in Odyssey. It's just such a good game. And for me, like I'm a fan of the Assassin's Creed games from like the older days. I sound like an old fart saying that, but like I like the older style games where before they were RPGs. But I still like these as well, and I think Shadows looks fantastic. I think a lot of people using the concurrent player count on Steam isn't the right way to go, because that doesn't equate sales. Like you can have 100,000 people buy a game, and then only have like 10,000 people online at any given time. So I think that's a weird thing. But honestly, the game looks fantastic. I always root for Ubisoft. They get so much hate. And it really annoys me because they own a lot of my favorite franchises, like Splinter Cell. By the way, this year it'll have been 13 years, 12 years since we had a Splinter Cell game.
Sheesh.
Yeah,
that's crazy, dude. Like, if you think about it, it literally skipped multiple generations.
Yeah, like we had a Splinter Cell Blacklist, August 2013, and I could cry myself to sleep at night. It's been that long. But like like Ghost Recon, Far Cry, like I like all these rumors of Ubisoft going under and selling off IP. In my opinion, if it was up to me, I want Ubisoft to stay as Ubisoft. Just get back to making games how they used to, because I think with all the drama you see online at the minute, like Assassin's Creed looks like an amazing game. It looks like it has amazing gameplay, all that stuff. The problem with Ubisoft at the minute, and this has been their Achilles heel for, I want to say, a little over 10 years, is that they start making all of their games have similar elements. So, like, back before like the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 launched, you had Assassin's Creed, which was its own thing. You had Splinter Cell, which was a linear third-person shooter stealth game. You had Ghost Recon, which was a third-person military shooter in a linear setting. And you had Far Cry, which was an open-world game, open-world action game in first person.
You got Rayman too, Jamie. You got Rayman, and you got what's that other one? Prince of Persia, which was
you have Dance Dance Revolution, right? Is that what it is? Is it Revolution?
Dance Revolution, yeah.
Yep. And like all of their games felt so different from each other. But then in like 2014 when Far Cry 4 came out and Watch Dogs and basically Ghost Recon Wildlands, and I love that game. All of their games start having the same elements. You go to a tower, you unlock part of the map, and that's when it became a meme. So basically all of their franchises became the same. I mean, hell, Watch Dogs is one of the few GTA competitors, and I'm doing air quotes with competitors, and that franchise absolutely tanks because Ubisoft doesn't know what to do with the IP, and they basically turned it into a modern Assassin's Creed game. I could rant about this all day, but like for me, I can't wait to play Shadows. I'm sorry I'm ranting a bit, but I think Ubisoft.
No, that's okay, dude. No, I'm listen. This is a conversational podcast, brother. We're happy to have it.
Yeah, like Ubisoft.
You're gonna love it, man. You're gonna love it.
I can't wait to get to it. Ubisoft, like I want them to have huge success. And like, look, they have a habit of releasing good games and not even talking about them. Like I talk about this on my channel all the time. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. That game, as an Avatar fan, is perfect.
I heard it was really good. I haven't played that.
Gorgeous game.
Yeah.
There was some mechanics that drove me crazy. The unlocking mechanic just. I don't know if they fixed it, but it was terrible. Oh my god, the game was gorgeous though.
Oh, you know what, Jamie? What was that war-torn game you play? It's kind of a flat 2D kind of game, and you go through like this. You got these French characters and stuff like that during World War I.
Valiant Hearts.
Yes, Valiant Hearts. That was World War II. That was excellent. World War One, actually. Yes.
Yeah, World War One. Because I remember the mustard mask, the gas mask, and all that. That was dope. By the way,
like all of their games were so different, and like I keep latching on to Avatar because nobody bloody played it. They didn't advertise it at all. Like in the UK, I've never seen a single trailer since that game came out. They have another expansion coming out this year. No information on it, and like that game has to be one of the most impressive games visually of all time. You have this huge interactive 3D world with floating mountains, which you could actually go to and climb and explore. And they did nothing with it. They didn't advertise it. Star Wars Outlaws had the potential to be a game of the generation title, and they messed it up because some of the third person shooting mechanics are kind of terrible. But like, it's still a fun game there. And like, look, we see all the drama about Assassin's Creed, and like on some kind of level, every Ubisoft title has some drama around it now. Every single one. And honestly, as a Ubisoft fan, it's tiring, but it's kind of bought on themselves because they don't help themselves. Their PR department clearly don't know what they're doing. And they launched this game. Everyone that's played it clearly loves the game. So like, I think if people genuinely like action games, stealth games, like this is probably going to be for them. But I think people just need to pay less attention because we see those accounts on Twitter, right? They want this game to fail for various reasons. And the truth is, it's just another Assassin's Creed game, right? It's another Assassin's Creed game in a territory that people have been wanting Assassin's Creed set in Japan since 2007, right? I was on the message boards when the first game came out.
Wow.
And everyone was talking about how like we need different settings for this franchise, and Japan has always been mentioned. Always.
Yes. Number one on the list for me anyway.
Yeah. And by the way, one of my most wanted settings was actually, a Viking setting, England or Norway. And I bored out of my mind.
You got it, and you said that it was terrible.
You got what you wanted, but it wasn't what you needed.
But outside of that, like I can't wait to play the game.
Yeah, man, I think you're really gonna love it, honestly. By the way, just to clear up, I guess we said it was the Dance Rebel. It was just Dance.
Just Dance. Yeah, I always get those two. One's Konami and one is Ubisoft. So it's Just Dance.
I mix them up too. So yeah.
I apologies, folks. Thank you for the correction. Yeah, I always get it wrong. It is one is Konami, one is Ubisoft, and they both print money. Let's just say that.
Yeah, for sure.
Both print money. Look, at the end of the day, folks, this game was skewed by many people in the community, which of course we don't name the names here, for multiple reasons. Some do it for grifting and engagement because they get paid via Twitter. We don't name the names here because one, we don't really kind of, swim in those waters, but two, we don't want to give anyone any kind of, credit for being a negative a-hole. We don't want to do that either. But I'll say this again. Right now, the sale, thanks to Super Chat that just came in from Will the Broke Boy Lewis, the sale ends March 28th, which is in 3 days. It's $108 for Ubisoft Plus for the year. If you are, considering getting the game, this is a good way to get it. This is definitely a good way to get it because from now to a year from now, they're going to release a bunch of games in there, and you're going to be able to download those games day and date, just like Game Pass, with all of the bells and whistles. You get all the expansions, you get all of the DLC, and it's right there for you to buy and enjoy and play. Well worth it. And speaking of Super Chats, gentlemen, before we move into, because we'll talk south of midnight on back end of the conversation, I do want to jump right into the main crux of today's show, and that's the conversation that's been raging since Friday. And, of course, at the center of this conversation is Jez Corden of Windows Central, great friend of the community, fantastic journalist, and we're going to get into what he said, and we're going to get into what some of our peers in the industry, like Tom Warren, like Paris Lilly, like Jesse Norris from Xbox Era, had to say. And, again, no one is attacking Jez. He's entitled to his opinion. I don't agree with it. I will say that. I said it yesterday. Is he wrong? Is he right? Well, that's for you to decide. I don't agree with what he's saying. We'll break it down momentarily. And again, understand this. We're not attacking Jez Corden of Windows Central. We are simply having a conversation because this is a hot topic. This is a topic that is going to come back in a big way. And I don't think it's next gen only. I think this conversation happens with these handhelds, these OEMs that are going to be happening with Xbox, the Xbox brand, and multiple, console makers, hardware makers. We already know that Asus is one of them. That is happening this year. When we don't know, is it going to be another Microsoft event, another Xbox event, another Asus event? We don't know, but that is definitely happening this year, and it might be others. And we might also see for the first time that a game like Ghost of Yotai is going to be, and again, this is my opinion, I could be 1,000% wrong. I think it is, just for the fact that Sony wants to actually make money as a corporation. That will be the first day and date game. Day and date for PC, big AAA, single player, story driven content. Because why? Helldivers 2 did gangbuster numbers for Sony Corporation. But before we get to that, let me catch up on Super Chats. We have Silver Afro, who's been a channel member, my God, for 42 months. Silver Afro, salute to you, kind sir. Thank you so much for the generosity and the continued support. He says, where is Hogue Law when you need him? Yeah, poor. I haven't seen Hogue around in a minute. Obviously, he had that stroke a couple of years ago, and it really took a serious toll on his health. He is still on the Bitcast with those guys, and I don't see him much tweeting, but that's because I don't know if he left Twitter altogether because Twitter is toxic.
He's still on there. I saw him.
Okay.
I don't see him post often. Well, I don't look either, but he did speak on AC Shadows. He was saying,
"Oh, okay, yes, I totally missed that." But yeah, he's still around. But thank you for the support, brother. Super appreciate it. our generous friend all the way from Hawaii, Nino Vistic, not only has been a channel member for 17 months, he has gifted folks one double barrel gaming membership. Brother, thank you so much for the generosity. Well, Nino goes on to say, mahalo, Mrs. Boom and Boom, for the best community on YouTube. Brother, that's very kind of you. Aloha and mahalo to you and your fam as well. He says, outstanding panels, great discussion, and the best chat. Aloha to all of the gamers. Got to see Kobe's statue at Crypto on vacation, and it was amazing.
Nice.
Dude, that is dope. That is, I hope you took a lot of pictures, because that is, you're talking about Kobe Bryant. Yeah. So that is, that's impressive, dude.
Mahalo, brother.
Yeah. Thank you for the generosity, brother. We super appreciate you. And hopefully you didn't get sick on your vacation, because everyone that's going on vacation is coming back sick. That sucks. I will say, take Airborne and take zinc, zinc and vitamin C before you go. You can even add echinacea. That's what I did last year. Last year, when we went to the big June event, everyone got COVID. I mean, everyone got sick. Your boy did not. Do you know why that was? Because I was taking vitamins 3 weeks before. And while I was there, I was taking an Airborne in the morning after I worked out, in the afternoon after lunch, and one right before bed. 3 days, three times a week. Airborne works, folks.
A big gathering like that, you can catch so much germs.
It's just, it worries me, because I'm an old man, and I don't want to get sick. But thank you for the generosity, super appreciate it. We have 2 super chats here from, actually 3. Do you, K Now, the Broke Boy Insider, drops the first $2 super chat and says that he prestiged he's prestige 10, level 41 in Black Ops 6. I'm about to prestige 9. I had to stop it, because now I have an addiction to Assassin's Creed, but I got to get back over there. That's very impressive. I don't think I've ever prestige 10. I'm going to prestige 10 on Black Ops 6. I did finish season 2 the other day. I powered through it, and I did get it. Well, I finished it. I'm looking forward to season 3. I haven't seen any of the new skins, which they'll probably get. I spent a lot of money in Black Ops. I'm not a whale, but I do like the skins. I know people don't like the wacky skins, but I like them. His second super chat of $2 says, the special is still alive for Ubisoft Plus. Just checked. And he goes on to say Ubisoft sale is $108 for the year. And of course, it ends March 28th, which is, thanks for the information. Super appreciate that. And the generosity, Will. Ultraman, salute to you, brother. Nice to see you in the chat. He drops, ladies and gentlemen, a very generous $5 super chat. And he says, I play every Assassin's Creed game the same. Before I do my first mission, I go and hit every viewpoint. Yeah, I'm finding that's another addiction that I have. When I see one, if I'm close enough, I go. And then what happens with me with these damn viewpoints is I'll go to that one, and then another one will be close. And then I'm like, God damn it. So I gotta
might as well get that one out the way too. It's right there. You see the question.
I don't know if you got the one on the ship. The one
I did. Both.
Yeah, that was a really good one, because I killed a lot of dudes on that show. I actually took a picture. Look, I'm not gonna front. I'm not a cameraman. I took a picture that I think is so good that Ubisoft should feature it.
I got a few.
It's raining. I'm wearing you ever seen Big Trouble in Little China? The straw hat.
The straw hat.
She's wearing that. She's around the corner.
I think that's where they got the Raiden inspiration from Mortal Kombat.
I think so. Absolutely. Well, the guy did lightning. Yeah.
But those, they have those big what castle like ships out there too that you can actually climb.
Yes,
and get stuff
I got one of them. One of them. It's big, dude. Like, there's multiple levels in there, and I just kept whistling and just stabbing.
Yeah.
It was great.
You get a bell too. You can eventually.
You can do the bell. I doubled up on the smoke bombs. Now it kind of smokes everything, and I can kill 2 people at once. So
I just did that for a longer time.
It works.
Yep.
Not real life murder, folks. Not real life murder.
Digital murder.
Digital murder.
Yes.
Jamie, I'm going to go back to you on this. You and I were talking in the green room. And again, folks, I want this to be clear. This is not anyone on this panel attacking Jez Corden of Windows Central. He is, and I say this before, I'm not blowing smoke up the guy's ass. I don't have to do that, but I want this to be clear. I consider Jez tip of spear when it comes to game journalism. I truly do. I've met him multiple times. He is a proper gentleman. We've always had nice conversations. But his original post on March 22nd said, if the next Xbox supports Steam/Epic Game Store, he's asking a question: will PlayStation block their PC titles on Microsoft hardware? It was from a poll. So I'm going to bring up the poll, and 61.2% said yes. 38.8%, Jamie, said no. It had nearly, and I mean nearly, 15,000 votes. Well, that's a lot of people that got involved in this. So he followed that up, quote tweeting his poll by saying, for those saying PlayStation can't block their games on Steam from Xbox, PC, they absolutely 100% can. Now, I did respond to Jez, and of course, I'm always politically correct because I never finger point or attack anybody for their opinion, because everyone's entitled to have theirs, even if we don't agree. We can still walk away like gentlemen. I simply says to Jez, as much as you are always on the pulse of anything gaming, this is totally different when Jez Corden, Steam sells developers and publishers games, but there are rules that must be followed. How could PlayStation pick and choose who used the games that they purchased and then use their hardware as a parameter of blocking said customer from using a purchased title because it has Xbox integration? ? Steam would then, and this is my opinion, choose not to sell PlayStation games. Look what happened with Helldivers 2 with the PSN sign-in. Now, that's what originally he was comparing it to, and that's not a good comparison, and here's why. There were over, I don't know, I think it was was it 108 countries or something like that did not have PSN available in their region, which meant that Sony was selling people the game on Steam. People were buying it, trying to play it, and they were stopped because they needed to do a PSN sign-in. Guess what, folks? They couldn't, because PSN is not available in their region. So what had to happen? Steam had to, once again, refund these people's money, and they stopped selling the game until what happened? Sony bent the knee and removed the PSN sign-in. Now, that's obviously, they're not stupid. They want to make money. And this is the same thing I think about when it comes to what could potentially happen with Xbox. Now, again, there were several people in the community that responded to Jez, and I will read some of them for context and conversation. John Clark of Xbox Era says, Jez mate, I love you, but these aren't remotely the same thing, let alone the same ballpark. Now, there were some additional conversations that happened between Paris Lilly, who actually, when it came, got into the conversation, and of course, Paris was, a gentleman. He simply says GFN, or GeForce Now, was about licensing. And something, I'm sorry, I forgot to make mention that the second part of Jez's original tweet was, he said, and I have to say this for context so it makes sense. Jez Corden actually said at the back end of that tweet, look what happened to GeForce Now. Now, GeForce Now was allowing people to play their games without consulting the publishers, i.e. Sony Corporation, and Sony stopped them from doing it. And that's what he was originally comparing, why he believes Xbox users could be stopped from playing PlayStation games purchased through Steam. So let me just go right back to what I was talking about with Paris Lilly. And Paris goes on to say this, folks. GFN, again, GeForce Now, was about licensing, and they aren't the only publisher blocking games from that service. In my opinion, it's doubtful PlayStation blocks their games via Steam. And to be honest, even if they can, is it worth the effort? And I agree with him. It is absolutely not worth the effort if you like money. But Paris goes on to say, I think a lot depends on how Xbox would integrate Steam into their UI versus allowing a desktop mode that launches a third party digital store. We are 2.5 years away from knowing either way, because, of course, the next Xbox, Jamie, is coming in 2027. So for now, not even worth being concerned or debating on the speculation. And Destin Legary basically responds with a simple this, and is, of course, responding to Paris. Now, why I think this is an important conversation to have, because I don't think it does start in 2.5 years from now. I think that is the ultimate goal for what Xbox is going to do, why people are going to buy this console. If you remember, during many of the interviews, and I think Paris actually asked Phil Spencer this directly, why would I want to buy an Xbox for next generation? And Phil told him that this next console is going to differentiate itself from any previous Xbox before it. And that is where we get I would even dare say, confirmation that this next Xbox is going to be this mythical PC underneath your TV. I want to get your thoughts on the idea that could start as soon as this year. There is some OEM hardware coming the way. We got it confirmed of Asus. That is happening. There is a partnership with Xbox. It is expected to look like an Xbox and run like an Xbox. And if someone like me, and you know what, let me not even use myself, because I have a PS5. So if I have to buy Ghost of Yotai on PS5, that's fine, which is probably where I'm going to buy it anyway, because I'd rather play on my TV than a handheld. But if there is an Xbox gamer in this chat right now who has a Switch, who may even have a PC, but doesn't have a PS5, and was like, you know what? That Ghost of Yotai, I missed out on Ghost of Tsushima. I bought it on PC. It's amazing. I cannot wait to play this game. Well, if they buy this handheld that is basically a PC, but also acts like an Xbox, by all accounts, they should be able to, if and again, there's a lot of ifs here. If Ghost of Yotai happens to be the first day and date title that Sony says, you know what, we want to make money. We don't want to wait 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year. We're releasing a day and date, and you go to buy that game from Steam in your Steam library, and then you go to download that game and play that game. How the F is Sony going to tell you, oh, I see that you're playing on a partnered Xbox device, blocked? They would get in some big trouble, in my opinion. Let's get your thoughts on that.
I mean, it's a weird situation, because like, I don't understand how Sony could block it, because if next year's handheld or whatever, or this year's handheld, if that's an OEM device and it can launch Steam and other stores, like, it would just be classed as a PC. So I honestly don't understand how, like, PlayStation could block games from being played or sold on that device. I really can't see that from happening. Will Sony try? Probably. Like, like whether people like Sony or not, like, we could all admit, like, Sony, they can be a bit petty sometimes, you know. And I can totally see them trying to block this. Will they? I honestly don't know. I really don't. But I think the interesting thing with, Microsoft going forward, like, having PC games being able to be played on your Xbox, like, Microsoft, they clearly want this to be the hub of the living room, right? They want you to be able to play all your games on one console, because for the longest time I've been talking about how, like, financially it doesn't make any sense whatsoever for Microsoft to allow other stores on the console. It really doesn't, right? The Xbox ecosystem is supported by third-party sales, the 30% they make off games, DLC, microtransactions. So, like, for them to put other stores on the console, it doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, if they don't have the store on the console and just let you play your own games, then that could be an avenue going forward that actually does make sense. So, like, let's take me, for instance, right? I would love to have more RTS games on console. Unfortunately, we don't live in a universe where that's a thing. But if Steam games had the ability to play them on your console and like sign into your Steam account and then just play them there, that would be the most ideal situation. Because honestly, fast forward 10 years from now, I honestly can't see a reality where the store itself is available on console. I just can't. Now, the ability to sign in and play your games, totally. I mean, hell, I have like 200 Epic games, Epic Store games. Like, if they can get that on there, that would be very nice. By the way, if people don't claim those free games, I don't know why you don't. Free games all the time.
I do it all the time, brother. I haven't played one of them yet.
Yeah, like I literally have about 200 games, and I fired up one game. That's it, just one. But yeah, you know, they've got me. I have an account there. I never intended spending a penny, you know, on the Epic Game Store, but I'll take the free games. But I would love to be able to sign in and play those games there. Like, and I could see that totally happening. Now, will we see it this year? I think you're right, Boom. I do think we will see like more of the PC centric Steam integration stuff this year. Because like the weird thing is like about Microsoft is like they are weirdly upfront at the minute about a lot of things. You know, they're saying how, oh, we're going to have the PlayStation logo at the end of trailers if it's going to be on PlayStation. We telling people upfront that we have a multi-platform strategy while having consoles coming out in the future. And, you know, you will have people in chat and, you know, online or whatever talk about how like Microsoft's getting out the console business. It costs literally billions of dollars of research and development to get these consoles researched, developed, made, sent out to stores, sent out to people's houses. Like, so like them getting out the console space doesn't make any sense because as we were saying before that the show went live, like people, and I see a lot of journalists do this, it really annoys me. People only talk about Xbox making money off Game Pass. And the truth is, Xbox makes more money off game sales, DLC, microtransactions. So, like, Microsoft leaving the console space literally doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, like, they're going to continue to make consoles. And, like, the original Xbox, that sold, what, 25 million consoles sold, something like that. The Xbox 360 had the worst launch of any Xbox console, yet it had the best, you know, sales record, like 90 million consoles sold. And then you have the Xbox One, which had a disaster launch with the DRM and all that stuff before the console even came out. And that sold what, 60, 70 million consoles in a generation where they had, you know, a mid-generation refresh with the Xbox One X. Like, so like Xbox at the minute is like what, 30 million consoles. It might tap out around 40 at the end of this generation. We really don't know. I think Xbox, like, they see the writing on the wall. I think, like, they may never sell more than 30, 40, 50 million consoles. And I think people looking at that saying, like, that is the end of Xbox, they don't really realize how much money that is, right? So, like, I'll use Square Enix as an example, right? There's, what, 120 million PlayStation 4s out in the wild. And
give or take,
give or take. And how many people actually bought Final Fantasy VII Remake at launch?
Like 2.5 million. It was very low.
So like Square Enix, they shifted into a multi-platform strategy because it makes no sense, right? One, if people wouldn't buy the games on Xbox, Sony wouldn't have to pay for exclusivity. That's literally just a fact. And Square Enix, they know they're going to make more money off Xbox and you know, Switch 2 and PC, all combined. So like Microsoft, I think they see that, look, they're going to continue to sell consoles. They're going to try the whole handheld thing because handheld PCs are popping off, right? I always hear about the ROG Ally all the time, right? My friend that has one can't believe stop talking about the thing. And, you know, handhelds, they're popping off. The Switch 2 is coming out. The Switch 2, that's probably going to launch with, you know, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Like, I think people need to get past the whole, you know, oh, hey, you buy this console, this has exclusive games. Like, the industry's changing. Games cost way too much now. Like, hell, the new Witcher game, The Witcher 4, is reportedly going to cost $400 million, meaning that game needs to be an instant success, massive hit out of the gate. Otherwise, they'll have to shut up shop. I think that, you know, Xbox trying these things with the handheld PC, the OEM device, it's not Xbox getting out of the console business. It's them trying something different. Because, look, the Xbox One generation was the console generation to lose, because people have this built-in library of digital games that they aren't going to give up, and people are still in that mindset of like, look, Xbox messed up in 2013, and they are still having to pay for it. Now, as an Xbox fan, as someone that covers Xbox, I think the whole situation's exciting. Right? We always have stuff to talk about. They have a roadmap of games. Like, people are constantly talking about Xbox all the time, right? So the fact that they're going to come out this year with an OEM PC device, that's exciting. And them trying something with Steam and maybe Epic Store or GOG, I mean, that's really good. You know, it benefits consumers in the end, because if they can get Steam like owned games to work on the platform, that is literally the most pro consumer thing they can do. The only thing we can talk about is like, will Sony stop them? And Sony has been known in the past to be extremely anti-consumer.
Yeah.
So will they stop them? I don't know, but I really do think they'll try.
Well, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see, because, like I said, Paris is right, where what we're talking about, the end game for Microsoft as a corporation when it comes to Xbox as a part of Microsoft, that does happen in 2.5 years, right? Holiday of 27, I would imagine, is when the next Xbox is going to come out. Again, all signs point to this mythical box that we've all wanted but never really knew how to get to is going to be delivered. It is going to look like a console. It is going to plug into the wall and to the back of your TV like your traditional console right now, but it's going to be a PC. That is the end game for them. And in that same end game is going to be their own handheld. And until they get there, they're going to be working with third-party manufacturers like Asus, like ROG. Potentially, you might even get one in there from pick your favorite brand that has a handheld out now. You might get an OEM Xbox there, because this is what they're planting the seeds for the future of what they're going to deliver in 27. Umbra, I have 2 points of contention here that I want to bring in for context that really do drive the point home of why I don't think they are going to block it. Now, you've heard me mention him before, Detective Seeds. Now, Detective Seeds is a reputable source. He is a PlayStation guy. He is, I think, look, I know I'm going to get some booze or virtual tomatoes for this. Just because he's a PlayStation guy doesn't mean that he's not valuable to the community. I like his work. We don't agree. We've said it publicly. We don't agree with each other on quite a few things, but we are still friends, and we can still walk away like gentlemen. He put out a tweet regarding, and again, folks, whether you believe him or you don't, that's fine. I consider him to be a credible source. That's just me, right? He put out a tweet on the 24th of March regarding this, and he says this, folks. I have been told that PlayStation has no current plans to restrict access to their current PC games if Xbox produces a partner device with Steam access. With their current Project Amherst, they do not seem to care. That is directly from Detective Seeds, which, by the way, has connections within Sony Interactive Entertainment. Now, whether you take him at face value or you don't, that is perfectly fine. But I do want to bring in Colt Eastwood and Tom Warren, who also chimed in on this. And Colt goes on to say, Tom Warren explains how PlayStation cannot block, and he says cannot in all caps, block their games from the next Xbox with direct PC, handheld or console access. Steam does not allow hardware blocking. And of course, Tom Warren, who went back and forth, in a fair conversational point of view with Jez Corden on the socials, Tom Warren goes on to say, there is no Xbox API to PlayStation games on Steam, so there's nothing to block. If Microsoft goes ahead and lists Steam games in the Xbox app on Windows, that will require Steam to be installed on a Windows machine. Sony would need to block Steam on Windows, which we know is not happening. Listen, Umbra, you are a PC guy. You have a monster-sized rig. You are playing most of your games on PC. I want to get your thoughts and your theories as to this big discussion on whether or not Sony, who we know can in fact be petty, would say no to money, literally say no to Xbox gamers that wanted to buy something like Days Gone on Steam or Spider-Man 2018 and play on what could be an OEM Xbox device. That to me does not make dollars and cents. Let's get your thoughts, man.
Sony is like, get your filthy Xbox dollars away from me, sir. We shan't be crossing paths. No. All to Steam, none to you. We shan't. Sony is petty enough where, to Jamie's point and to the chat and we all know Sony is petty enough where they'll be like, nope, I'm not allowing that. And it possibly could be a business move where it hurts them if that happens, right? Because at that point, the argument always was centered around, well, why do you need an Xbox? You can play this on PlayStation. Why do I need an Xbox? I got a PC. Well, the same argument would be valid for Sony.
I'll tell you this right now. And you know what? I want to add some context to that point. If they release their games day and date, now, and again, let me paint the picture for you folks, and I'm going to hand the mic right back to you. But this is great context. So it is expected that at least by 1 year, Xbox is going to jump Sony. And it could be more than that. Again, that's the rumor. Is it true? Well, we'll find out in 2027. But right now, we're in 2025. And I will say this. I'll tell you this, and I will say it right out in the open. If the next Xbox comes out and it's as powerful as Sarah Bond claims it is, and in its power, there is the ability to go through a Lenovo, a ROG, or even a Dell or an Alienware, get an Xbox, get an OEM Xbox, and say, hey, the standard Xbox is 700 beans, but I don't want that one because I want more power. So I go out and said, you know what? I'm going to go over to Alienware and I'm going to build my own Xbox where they're going to build it for me. And I'm going to pick parts. And 5090? Yes, I want that. I want a 2 terabyte drive. Yeah, I want that. And I wound up spending $1,380 on this Xbox. I don't need a PlayStation 6 because that box is going to be basically a rig that's underneath my TV. And listen, PlayStation 6, folks, make no mistake, it is going to be powerful. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The PlayStation 6 is going to be a formidable piece of hardware, but it's going to be a souped-up PS5. They will not be doing what Xbox is doing. It is going to be exactly what you have with your PlayStation 5 and your Pro, except it's going to be more powerful. Sony is going to Sony. They're going to be traditional. And if this in fact is the case, what the heck do I need a PlayStation 6 for, Umbra, if I have this $1,500 box that I just paid for? Please continue, sir.
There you go. And that's the thing. So I can see why, just to give a little, credence to Sony doing it. Outside of the idea of pettiness, I can see why they would do it, because it would possibly, give people the thought that, yeah, why do I need that? I have this over here. I have this Fusion Xbox over here, and I do Ninja Squirrel. Yes. No, Paul Paws, of course, I have the monster rig, but yeah, so I hear that thought, but what I find odd is the thought that they'll just block Xboxes or whatever, or Fusion Xboxes and PC. I don't understand how that would work. You know what I mean? I don't see how that would logically make sense to do. Not only are they undercutting themselves, because that's money that they'll get, steal from the sales of that. Plus, I don't even think they can do that. I don't think it's a real thing. It's not. I don't think the next Xbox is essentially, I think we've lightly touched on it here. I've talked about it on Infinite. I've talked about it on my podcast, just from things I've heard. It's, they're doing this whole, it's a hybrid situation where it's essentially a PC. And I mean, they're already on x86. So I'm sure some of you all saw the news with the Windows 32 implementation. So that's going across the board where they're going to allow you to play all these things. They're already setting it up. That's what all that is going to. This is why the whole "this is an Xbox" campaign was out and done and being put out there. It doesn't ring true just yet, but it will, because that's the essential plan, that everything will be an Xbox. You'll be able to access your whole library, right? And the Fusion, I like that, James Coffee. Yeah, I didn't think about that. He said I just named the next Xbox, the Fusion.
Nice, I love it. Yeah,
That actually would be.
You just gave away $1 million idea. Please give this man credit. Thank you.
Yes, just fly me out to LA, Phil and team, and praise me. No, but seriously, like, so my thinking is, I'm much more aligned with Tom Warren and Jesse and John and them from Xbox era. I just don't see how they would have the power to do that. I don't think Steam would allow that, for one. Two, you essentially saying, hey, I'm going to block Steam off of your Windows PC, right? Because that's what it's going to be. And what they're doing is a hypervisor. So it's not like it's going to be just some Xbox thing. It's going to be a PC that is essentially emulating the Xbox, right? So I don't see how they would do that without causing trouble for Steam itself. And I don't think Steam is about to lose out on money too. That's revenue for Steam. So I'm going to lose out on revenue for your few measly games when I got all these thousands upon thousands of games that I could be profiting off of from the Xbox people. I don't think so. Valve wouldn't allow that. I don't see Gabe doing that. So to me, I would fall on the side of Paris and all those guys. We're on this right here as well. I just don't see that as a realistic thing. But I will say I'll put a tab of it in being cautious, because you never know. And I say that just because Sony is
they're petty. They really are. Yeah,
they're petty, and they could try to be litigious, and who knows. So I can't say for sure, for any certainty, that no, they're not going to do this. I don't know. I just don't believe that'll be the case. And again, it's a win for them too, because that's money that's going in their pocket as well, even if that's the case. And not everybody is going to say, well, I'm just going to get the Fusion Xbox over here versus the next PlayStation. Not everybody's going to do that, because it's still a matter of market share and mind share, that people still look at PlayStation as de facto, right? So that's going to take some time to die down too. So not everybody's going to just abandon ship to go to the wiser choice. Look at PC right now. Not everybody's jumping to PC, even though
I wouldn't
it's
jump
our
to PC.
wiser choice. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Like if you look at it just off of the convenience of being able to do whatever you need to do on it and getting everything, PC would be the choice. But not everybody wants a PC for their own needs, right? And some things people don't want to go through all this with a PC. I get it, So I feel the same when it comes to PlayStation, and then people switching back over, library included, and friends they've made included. All of that's still going to matter. So this is more reason why I don't believe Sony would try it, because there's no real incentive for the people who are longtime PlayStation buyers or consumers to just say, I'm just going to ditch them now. You know what I mean? Right. Phil made that comment for a reason when he pointed out that the time to grab people would have been during the 7th gen. So I think that holds true. So for that reason, I don't believe Sony would even go through that. And I do believe Detective Seeds, he does have some connections there with Sony. You're right. Haven't talked with him myself a few times. So I believe that is a real thing. I think Sony, and also, I mean, you've seen it, Totoki and all, they've been talking about this, where they want to get more revenue for the games. And we talked about it many times. It's pretty obvious. Sony is looking barren over there. I mean, you don't have a lot of games come out of them first party. They may as well get all the money they can. So if you got it where these games are going to be going to another platform, and it's not like you're saying, hey, we're sending, The Last of Us remake version 3 over to Xbox. Right. No, we're seeing it to Steam, and you just got to run around, or at least an in run around to get to it from that through the next Fusion Xbox there. Why would they care? They're still getting their money from you.
They're still getting, again, someone's still spending $60 or $70 on the game. And I don't even think that's the question of it. There comes a point, and you had asked the question, why would I buy a PlayStation? Well, as great as they're selling PlayStations, they're not making a lot of money on a PlayStation 5 or Pro sales, folks. That's the reality. They're making minuscule amounts of money. Where they make their money is in software. It has always been software. So again, I don't see. First of all, if you just look at the way Gabe Newell runs it, it's a privately owned corporation They make the rules. They don't work for Sony. Sony works for Steam. Xbox works for Steam when they put their games there. They're partners. They're both making money. One's taking 70, which would be PlayStation, and Gabe Newell is taking 30. And that's the way the business works. Now, if they try to turn around and say, well, anything with an Xbox API, we're going to block this game, that is going to cause a lot of trouble at Steam because people are then going to want refunds.
Yeah,
And if they
now
have to be
got to cut off
refunded,
from Steam games. Yeah.
yes.
And I don't see, that's the major problem, right? That's the thing I think that stops it dead in its tracks right there. Is will they be able to stop that from stopping Steam, or will it just be a case where they can possibly just put a stop to their games being playable, which again wouldn't make sense. What if I bought that game with my money and you're telling me I can't play my game now? It's like, so I don't understand how that would work for Sony. I don't think legally it would work.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a lot of hypotheticals. We'll know soon enough, and things are going to have to happen in order, right? The new Xbox is going to have to come out in 2027. It's going to have to be this mythical PC / hybrid Xbox underneath your TV. Obviously, during GDC, the cat kind of came out of the bag, whether that was accidentally on purpose or an accident for real. We know that they're incorporating Steam or Steam Tab into PC for Xbox PC. That what you're seeing is probably going to be what the UI is going to be on these future boxes. That UI is probably what you're going to get on these handhelds, where it's going to, again, according to Jez Corden, unmistakably look like an Xbox, and it's probably going to act like an Xbox. And we'll know that later this year, or maybe even in June during the showcase. That seems like a perfect time to show that off. Give a price, give a release date, go. And by then you should have this UI to rule them all that looks and runs like your home Xbox on your TV with this handheld. Boom, it loads up and you can play your Steam games. You can play your Epic Game Store. And that also means not only your old games, but your new games. So if Ghost of Yotai, for instance, is the day and date PC release that we think Sony is eventually going to want to get to, and that is a really good title to start with, then that would be one of those instances where if you don't own a PlayStation, you went out and you have a PC, you have a Steam account. You're like, oh, I'm going to buy Ghost of Yotai on my PC. And then you're like, well, I like this Xbox handheld. I'm going to go buy this. And you go and you buy this Xbox handheld. Why wouldn't you be able to play the game that you purchased for Steam on this API Xbox / ROG Ally? And if it's blocked, that's ultimately going to be a problem. It does not make dollars and cents. And when it doesn't make dollars and cents, gentlemen, it doesn't make good business. But look, I know that we said we were going to talk about South of Midnight. I'm going to move that to one of the other shows because we are at the almost 90-minute mark. This was a big topic. This had a lot of big opinions. The chat is awesome. A lot of people have their opinions. Just for some clarification, no names. I didn't say that the next Xbox was going to be $1,300. The next Xbox is probably going to be $700. But because they're going into and swimming in the waters of OEM developed hardware, meaning third-party hardware that will have an Xbox, you as the customer be able to go to, like, let's say a Lenovo or a ROG or an Alienware and say, I want parts. This one, this one, this one. What's the total? $1,300. Okay, send me that Xbox. And that's ultimately what's going to happen. They're going to allow for OEM development outside of the regular $700 Xbox, which, folks, FYI, that Xbox, PlayStation, and not even Nintendo are going to be taking losses for their consoles anymore. It's too big of losses. Yeah. So the next PlayStation is going to be $700. And that's crazy considering that this one was $700 and a little bit more if you needed all the extra stuff.
Yeah, once Sony did the Pro move here and it was $700, I just don't see next gen being less than that.
Yeah, I mean, we will
far better
see
technology in it. I just don't see it happening.
Nope. No, not at all. I agree. But let me catch up on Super Chats, gentlemen. We'll get you guys and gals out of here. Big shout out to the near 600 plus people already here. Please, if you are here, hit the like button if you like the conversation. If you don't, that's fine. Hit the thumbs down button with engagement nonetheless. And of course, while you're here, consider subscribing. We're on the hunt for 16K, and hopefully we can get there before June. That'd be pretty cool. And we're 221 away, something like that. So it'd be really cool if you're not already subscribed to consider subscribing. But we also have here a couple of additional super chats from the people in the chat. So let's read them out there. Will the Broke Boy Insider has dropped an additional very generous $5 super chat. It says, Big Trouble in Little China is my favorite John Carpenter movie. I'm meeting him at Comic-Con this weekend unless he cancels. Hopefully he doesn't. It's one of my favorite films of old. I could watch it like literally any time that it's on. I don't know if we need a sequel. I'd love one, but if it's not directed by him, then no thank you.
Classic, man.
Yeah,
classic movie.
One of my favorites.
And he does have a lot of great movies, by the way.
Oh,
he
does.
Did he direct The Thing, by the way?
Yes, he did, sir. That was my next favorite film. Yeah.
Escape from LA.
Yes.
What was that other one he did? They Live. Classic.
With, Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Oh man. Excellent stuff.
Yeah, man. He got a lot of
Keith David, another classic. He was in The Thing.
Yep,
Keith David was in They Live. He's a big fan of his work.
The Fog back in the day.
Oh my God,
Christine with Steven Spielberg. I mean Steven what's my man's name? Steven
King.
King, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, it'd be great. You know, it'd be great because John Carpenter, he's getting up there. I'd love to see him work with Kojima on this anthology thing for Xbox.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That would be pretty dope if we could tell one of his stories in Kojima's world. That'd be dope. But Jake HH in the chat. Jake, welcome to the program, brother. Thank you very much for the very generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, but you can already play PlayStation Steam games already on your Xbox Series console. That's the funny part. I'm doing it now for months with the Detroit BH. I'm not sure what the BH means, but yeah, I mean, I know that you can through Boosteroid. I think he's talking about. So maybe he's talking about Boosteroid. Listen, that's not a workaround. That's a thing that you're doing. So again, if you're already playing them there, that's awesome. But I think that what we're referring to is like the Steam integration on Xbox is the future of the box. And again, I shout out to and there was a lot of people that were talking about this. As great as it will be to play a PlayStation game on your Xbox, now whether that's for shade or you just want to play that game, either way, that's not the get here. Okay, the get is being able to play the 18,000 games per year that are launched into Steam. That is the ultimate get for this collaboration between Steam and Xbox. The bonus part of it, let's be perfectly clear here, is getting the PlayStation games on the back end. That's not number one. That's like number 5 down the list. They're they're Steam games, they're PlayStation games, awesome. You can buy them, you can play them, awesome. But the get here is the amount of games that go into Steam on a regular yearly basis, and it's by the thousands. We also have here Roshan Impenger drops. He's been a channel member for 10 months. So Roshan, thank you so much for the support. He says, Helldivers is different because it didn't start that way. If that was the initial premise, it could be different. We can always ask Nintendo how they do it. I mean, that's very true. Helldivers situation was very obscure for sure. It's again, sometimes Sony makes a lot of missteps. I mean, they all do. All the corporations do. This was a big one. If you know that PSN login is required, that you're requiring it, and in 108 countries it's not available and people want to buy the game, how does that make sense? How does that even make any sense? That's another bonehead move by Sony. We have Day Reezy, who's been a channel member for 6 months. Day, salute to you, brother. Thanks so much for being here. He says, hey, Umbra, do you think that Xbox Fusion could replace your Monster rig or be what you play on more? Just remember, Xbox better, hashtag Xbox butter.
Listen, that's an interesting question, Day Reezy. I mean, it depends, right? Like, I'm set over here. I'm just going to tell you for a while, but I do plan on possibly getting, the next Xbox, or at least the handheld. So we'll have to see if it is a faction. I mean, really, it can eventually outdo what I have, because going to Boom's point,
Yep.
You don't have to. I don't have to get just the standard Xbox. I can get the third party.
Build what you want.
Yeah,
and
build it up and probably put
Yeah.
like, a 4090 is better. Well, I got a 4080 Super, so I can get a 4090 in there, for instance, or I can get a 5080, which is not that much of an upgrade from 49. Let's say a 5090 or the 60 series, right?
6090 by then,
right?
by
By that point,
2027.
like who knows? And yeah, by that point, 2027, it'll be what, 7 series, I guess. So
Yeah.
So who knows? And I'll probably, trying to turn it on will destroy my entire place I live at. But just saying, like, yeah, I could probably do that by that point. So we'll see, man. I can't say just yet, but I'm excited. That much I will say. I'm really excited. I think
I'm very excited for it
yeah,
because, again,
you all should be happy and excited for this, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, I use myself as a test case. Like, there are a lot of Steam games I would love to play, but I don't want to play in front of this monitor that I'm in front of right now. I want to play on my TV, and I know that you can do that, but I don't have a rig, and I don't want one. So why this is a good idea for Xbox and for Steam is because I'm not a Steam customer. But if I get my Xbox, and it is this mythical thing, and it can have Steam integration, and I can go to Steam from that box and buy a game and play it on that box, I have now become a Steam customer, someone they would have never gotten money from.
Yep.
And that is ultimately the point.
Yeah.
So that's why I think
now we have the case where the whole stigma of Xbox guys missing out on games, that's over with next year.
That's done. Absolutely.
That's the thing I like the most. It's like that stigma is out of the window right then and there.
Indeed. Absolutely. Stigma gone. Fantas Archer, welcome back, brother. Thanks so much for the very generous $5 super chat. Fantas goes on to say, Nintendo's IPs help sell weaker Switches, and they seem content with that earnings and its philosophy. Microsoft, even with adding other stores, might be the same play. I mean, listen, they're going to be selling their wares to everyone. They're going to allow for OEMs or third-party people to make their hardware. They're going to make hardware. They're going to have money coming in left, right, and center. And that's ultimately what these corporations care about. What you should care about, gamer, is what they're putting into Xbox Game Pass, and that they continue to load it up with content, which they are doing as we speak. JD Gamer in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat. JD Gamer goes on to say, interesting thought panel. PlayStation current drought in many games may actually work I guess in their behalf for the end of this gen and the beginning of next gen. I mean, they're going to have games, right? There's a rumor that popped up yesterday that there's something God of War happening with Greek mythology. Is that the remake of God of War 1, 2, and 3? Yeah, I guess maybe. That would be pretty dope because that game is, 2 decades old? I'd love to replay that on modern hardware with modern graphics. Yes, please. I'll gladly purchase it. But we'll see what happens. But you're absolutely right. I think that there is something to be said about these delays potentially for Sony, pushing the envelope from this gen into next gen because they're gonna have PS5 versions and they're probably gonna have PS6 versions. We have Thanaros, who's been a channel member, ladies and gentlemen, for 65 freaking months. He doesn't even say anything. Salute to you, kind sir. Thank you for the generosity. We also have, we have a couple more super chats here. We have JD Gamer drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, panel, is Xbox simply adopting the Surface hardware approach where they provide the software to OEMs and a reference design, then all OEMs equal Xbox? I mean, I think that's the goal, right? Like, they are going to want people to buy software no matter what. And I think there's this middle ground between console and PC that I am currently sitting in. Like, I'm the targeted audience for this thing because I don't want a PC, but I want to be able to build an Xbox. And if I don't have to put hands on parts and I simply just go with my mouse and keyboard and go to Alienware and be like, oh, they're selling Xbox now. Okay, so I'm going to get this part. Yes, I want this. Yes, I want this. Yes, I want the 3-year warranty. Go. $13.80. Okay, take my money. right? That is that gray area that's right between PC and console that no one has tapped into yet. Xbox is going to be there first. And I think ultimately that is how that's why the Steam integration is going to be a big part, because it's going to get people like me who are not customers. I've never been a Steam customer. Have I bought games? Sure. Have I gifted games? Yes. But am I a Steam customer? Not really, to be honest with you. But they will get me if I can, and they'll get a Jamie. Jamie likes RTS games. So he would be able to go and be like, wow, this RTS game on Steam looks dope. I want to play that on my Xbox. Boom.
Indeed.
There you go.
Speaking of WoW, now you'll be able to play WoW on
There
Xbox. But I'm sorry for the pun. But that said too, yeah, JD, I think that's exactly what the case is. They have the Surface team working on this thing apparently.
Yep.
And for sure, I think that's the exact approach that they're doing here. And for all we know, they might have it a tiered system, but I think this also kind of erases generations for them, right? Because there's no need of saying, oh, we're moving to the 10th gen or whatever. They could say it, but essentially when you move to a PC at that point, PCs doesn't have gens. You're just moving up as far as graphics cards and other
parts. It's really just part driven.
Parts and stuff. So I'm curious on how that's all going to play out. Honestly, I'm excited for it though, and that's why I say like I wouldn't write off getting the next Xbox, because I possibly would. I mean, I don't want to say I'm a technologist. I am a connoisseur of technology,
hardware.
Yeah. So I definitely,
if you can get the biggest and best, why wouldn't you?
Absolutely. And the way they're going to handle it, it's definitely going to be the software, which is I had it in my head, tip of my tongue. I keep forgetting it. The hyper, what, I cannot remember this to save my life. I think I'm being tired now. But they have those things. So essentially the software is going to be there and it's going to front end it almost like you would big picture mode for Steam. So when you turn your Xbox Fusion up on, you're just going to go straight to like it would be powered on an Xbox. It won't be like, oh, I'm on Windows, but they're probably going to have it where you can switch to Windows mode on it. So that's the way I envision it, at least.
Yeah, it's an exciting future, folks. Gaming is getting bigger, bolder, and Xbox is taking strides that they've never done before, and I'm here for it. We have a Gamer by Choice has gifted one double barrel gaming membership. Salute to you, Gamer by Choice. Appreciate the generosity, folks. If you did get one from either Ninovestic or him, please, or even Will, please thank these men in the chat. It'd be greatly appreciated. Day Reezy drops a very generous $5 super chat, and Day goes on to say, there are tons of Steam games I want to play that I couldn't because I don't have a PC. This really appeals to me. I can't wait for this to happen. And there you go, folks, live on the air. That's exactly why I'm excited for this, because I'm not a Steam customer, and there are Steam games. There are so many games that, like Vampire Survivor, that are amazing that I have missed out on because I don't have a PC that could run these things. And again, I become a customer. Steam is not going to say no to that. BT Maverick drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Steam's next fest is a magical time in its own right. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Steam sales, they're going to make money, man. And they're going to make money off Xbox gamers who are going to be like, you know what? That Steam sale where I'm getting 60 games for $60. Yes, please. Take my money. You're going to see.
And thank you, BT Maverick. There you go. I could not get it on my hypervisor. My brain.
I was going to say hypervisor, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's hypervisor. And what it do is it's a virtual machine. So it just allows for software of different emulation essentially on all these. Like it's kind of crazy. And you know what, you would need Kay to better explain this. I would just,
he probably could. He's sharp as a tool for sure.
Yeah, it's better for Kay to do this. I'm just going to make a fool of myself, but
no fools here. No fools here. We're having a conversation. But lastly, before we get to the outros, JD Gamer has been a channel member for a whopping 60 months. Goes on to say, who's the next acquisition? Because I believe there will be one coming down the pipe. And within the next 18 months, Sega, Square, IO, CD Projekt Red, or Crytek, it's going to be somebody. They're investing. The FTC thing is basically just an anomaly at this point. They're waiting for that to get done. It will get done, and they are going to buy somebody else. I always keep reverting to Take-Two. I think that would be the one that you go for, because if you can own Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty, you've won. But we will see. Jamie Moran, you have a show happening later this afternoon. I believe it's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern, but I'm not sure if the clocks have been turned forward or for you. Brother, sell the brand of all things Xbox. That is a podcast you do weekly, and it's a fun show. You talk a lot about Splinter Cell. You talk a lot about Mass Effect, but you also talk about current, console conversation. Let's get over there. Let's get people to subscribe to your podcast, to your YouTube channel, where, again, folks, him and Logan Meyer each and every Tuesday break down the hottest and latest when it comes to Xbox. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people subscribe and, more importantly, follow you on social media?
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It's always a pleasure doing this podcast with you two. And so my channel is The Elusive Gamer. I exclusively cover Xbox with a bunch of, other Mass Effect stuff thrown in as well. All Things Xbox podcast is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. And we cover everything in the Xbox space. It's always fun over there. No fanboy stuff. It's great over there. And yeah, that's 6 p.m. Eastern. Now, if you live in Europe, UK, we're an hour earlier because of the time difference, and the clocks go forward at the end of the week. I honestly can't wait for that to happen, because I'm basically on American time. But yeah, that's 6 p.m. Eastern. Should be fun over there. And my Twitter is JamieMan UK, where it's exclusively gaming and jokes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us each and every week, Jamie. Super appreciate the very important opinions and thought that you bring to the show. And of course, folks, please get over there. All of their information are in the show notes. If you want to subscribe to your YouTube channel, you absolutely should. And of course, Infinite Umbra, one of the best singing voices in the business. Sell the brand of The Fix, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday evenings, where you and Daniel McGee break down all of the pop culture going on. And by the way, the new Captain America film starring Sam Wilson as Cap has grossed over $400 million worldwide. So I'm very happy for that team. That was an amazing film. I'm going to watch it multiple times because I really like Sam Wilson as Cap. But brother, sell the brand. Where can people check out this podcast where you talk about movies, you talk about anime, you talk about wrestling, you talk about video games? When can they tune in? Where can they subscribe? And more importantly, follow you on social media?
Yes. Thanks, Boom, for having the brother. And Jamie, shout out to you as well. Shout out to the chat. You guys, of course, can find me Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite on social media. You'll find me either way. On Thursdays, as Boom pointed out, myself and Danny, and sometimes some guests here and there, if the mood calls for it. It's on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern, so 7 o'clock our time here Central. But yeah, if you guys could, if you have not done so, just type in my name or in The Fix, and you will see it in your YouTube search, and just subscribe. I will post a link, but I'm not near anything to copy and do it right this second. But if I can, before we get off the air, I will. And if you all haven't subscribed, please do so. And try to come by on Thursdays if you can. And we have a good time. We have a good discussion. I often reach out to the audience to talk with everybody while we're, discussing things, answering questions, etc., or giving thoughts to whatever. And and occasionally I will sing. I'm going to blow your eardrums out. So come by and enjoy some time with us this Thursday. Fridays, of course, also is the Infinite Podcast with myself, Risk It for the Biscuit, That Blue Number, Spriggan, aka Dante Moody, and Garuda Intruder whenever he's free to make it. And so we have a good time on there as well. So hope to see you guys at either show. So
looking forward to that show, because I think this is going to be a conversation that just does not just go away into the night. And I'm interested to hear what Risk It has to say specifically, because again, it's a hot topic. Again, it's a topic that is worthy of a conversation. You might hear it on other podcasts. You might hear other opinions. Opinions aren't wrong, folks. You're allowed to have yours, just like Jez Corden was of his. And I do think nobody was ganging up on Jez, and I don't think any of us would. He's a nice guy. But I do think that for Sony finds themselves in a position where they're not going to scoff at extra money. And I think anyone that suggests that is just being, foolish or playing a console war game that most of us do not play. But that is going to do it for us here on the Xbox Factor podcast. For Jamie Moran, for Infinite Umbra, for myself, thank you so much for tuning in, checking out the show. A big thank you to all of the super chats, channel member chats, and of course, all of the generosity that comes the way of this channel. Mrs. Boom and I are incredibly grateful for it. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And it would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast.